Thank you. So what we want to do is we want to help patients with smarter data, right? So what we do is we look into all these disparate data sources, we bring it together, so that's easy to use, not only from a data scientist, but also to make data blobs and for people to look at the data. So if you go to the next slide. So I will go immediately to the demo. I will go immediately to the demo, Nele. So Nele will do a demo, first time for her, so we'll see how that goes. The idea is what we did to prepare for this hackathon is we integrated some clinical trial data, and we integrated also some data on publications, on drugs, and other stuff. So for instance, when you type in dengue and you do search, what you will see that is we search around 120 databases, which we put in linked data, and you will see it's a little bit not so beautiful here because of the screen size, but you see out of all the results, 26,000 results, now we want to make a blob. The whole idea is to make a blob of data, to work with some other teams here, to provide them data to make social media strategies or to go into prediction models. So for instance, now you can go to the clinical studies here on the top, and you can see what clinical studies are available. Immediately you will find all the clinical studies, but also the related data. So you see also the lead sponsors, you will see what the clinical studies are, and there's also some maps to show, in fact, what areas and countries the clinical studies are. Now, when you go to the top, and this is the neat thing of linked open data, this is publicly available to everybody, right? So what happens is you go to the links on the top, just next to clinical study, and we will see in these clinical studies, for instance, what are the related drugs that are searched for. So you can go to the drugs, this box, and now you find the 41 drugs that are investigated linked data, using linked data in the clinical studies, and you can find, for instance, the related key opinion leaders. So now you go back to the slides, just to show you how easy it is to go from one database to another. If you switch back to the slides, Neil. So what we did is we went into the active recruiting clinical trials in the world. We looked at who's the key opinion leader, who's the publisher there. So we looked for case reports on certain drugs. So you see we made some filters here. You see who's here. You cannot read it, Takayashi. Then we went to the other team, so you can go to the next slide. And we said, you're already doing some work on searches with social media. That's the slides. So I gave them the export. So you see that we gave the export here. And then they use some of the exports, but we also went to the key opinion leaders. You can go to the next slide. And this is something really cool. We integrated that data in there. And instead of going to just the regular searches on dengue and sentiment analysis, we put in some experimental scientific data to see, do people search on this person or what's mentioned in the clinical studies? And you see some spikes that were in Brazil. The whole idea is to use scientifically linked data to make good social media strategies, because if we have these, we can upfront predict potential outcomes and find patients more early. So that's the first use case. How many minutes do I have? 6.5. Oh, no. So the other thing we want to do, but this was only talking, but for us, the price is not important at all, but what's really important is that we sustain and we continue this effort. So we're going to commit with our team at least 2 people, 4 hours a month to do more of this integration. And the next thing, if you click on the next slide, what do you want to do? So here we did a similar search, but a little bit different. The other one was on publication key opinion leaders. Here we go more into geospace data, and if you go to the next slide, the whole idea is, again, we did a dump of data, and now you see that it's more on the countries, where some searches are more prevalent than others. Then we go to the next slide. And so we're mixing that, but we didn't come to it, so if the question is there. We're mixing that with some data that comes out of the vault, so the data that was prepared. And we're going to mix that to make predictions. And the whole idea is that once this data is also there, as another data source, people can find, like, where has there been some outcomes and outbreak data about patients. We're going to mix that in the model, so you not only find the clinical trials, you not only find the publications, but you also find the outbreak models. And that will then be used to make new prediction models, which will be entered in the system. So that's it. We definitely want to continue a lot. So this is a screenshot how it would look like, that you see this is now, and this is with prediction models. Can we find more? And the cool thing is we then want to switch that from dengue to malaria and others, so we can do more than just dengue. Thank you.